Hey guys, this is Manshark Sub LPs. I'm Sub, this is Crusader Kings II, and this is episode 2 of Millennia in the Making. We're still playing as Duke Otto of Saxony, or more correctly, Duke Otto Lodolfinger. And, well, if you remember from the last episode, we married us a lovely French princess by the name of Princess Hildegard of House Carling, so that's going well for us. Today we're going to try and progress the timeline a little bit more than we did last time. 27 days, not exactly cutting it there. So we're just going to start it up, and move it to the second speed so that we've got time to deal with things. Now I'd like to build an improvement in our capital of Lundberg here. I'd like to build some castle walls, because castle walls add to three things, as you can see here. They increase your levy size, only by a little bit, but every bit counts. They give you a little bit more tax, and they increase the fort level. Now we've just had, just to break from that, we've just had a low priority message show up. Bishop Baldwin of Wimpfen has been imprisoned by High Chief Swetopelk of Pomerania. Again, mispronouncing things, that's fine. The bishop is German. He's a direct vassal of our king, King Ludwig II, so I'm not terribly concerned about that. That's why it's a low priority message, so we click the red button to just discard it. And we keep going. As I was saying, I'd like to be able to build castle walls, and there we go. We've only just qualified to be able to build them, because we've only just gone over the amount of gold that we need. So let's just click that green button. It'll take slightly short of a year to build, so we'll set that up. And there's a little progress bar here on the right hand side on the ticker. If we wanted to speed it up a little more, what we would do is take our steward, set him to oversee construction, but because we've recently assigned him to a job, we can't reassign him. So we'll just let that ride, see how it goes. We do have a little bit more income than we used to for some reason. One of the priests must like us a little bit better. But of note, just next to all of these income, prestige and piety things, this particular figure here, the Demesne size, not sure whether it's actually pronounced Demesme or Demence. I will probably pronounce it Demence because it rolls easier off the tongue. You can see here ours is 1 of 3. What that means is we currently own 1 county. We can own a maximum of 3 counties, personally. I mean, we own all of this area here, which is 9 counties, if I remember right. But we can personally hold 3 before we start getting penalties and maybe some negative events. They've changed a lot of things regarding the limit here. But that used to be 2, if I remember right. The reason why it's gone up to 3 is probably because our wife has 11 stewardship, and you can see here, when I mouse over the state stewardship, you can see all the various effects. I have 8. My wife appears to add about half, rounding down, of her stewardship, and my councillors add 12. So if we go here, yes, we can see our steward has 12 in his stewardship stat. So that's great. So the higher the attributes, oh boy. I'd kind of hoped to avoid this sort of thing in a while, but our liege, King Ludwig II, has issued a decree calling for the expulsion of all unlanded Jews from the entire realm, citing various grievances committed by them against the crown. We can't do anything about that. That's something the king has done. It might just be a coincidence that we're German, but you know, we'll just get past that. It's still 867. It's not like we're in 1940s or anything like that. So yeah, we'll just continue on as is. While we're just sitting here waiting for things to happen, we can pause the game and just go up to the intrigue menu, check out what we've got happening. Okay, we've got some interesting plots here. We can fabricate a claim on the county of Weimar. That's this one right here, which is held by Duke Fankolf of Thuringia. I'm not really concerned about that. If we go here to conduct diplomacy, we already have a claim on Weimar. We have a de jure claim because as we check the de jure duchies, Weimar is part of Saxony, which we hold the title of the Duke of Saxony, so we always have a claim on this piece of land, as well as Dolomici, one way or the other, and Plauen. We don't want to do that because the Duke actually has some allies that he can call on. Though, if we go back to our thing, we have some allies that we can call on. The Count of Württemberg. We apparently cannot call on our father and brother-in-law, the kings of West Francia and Aquitaine. I'm actually really pleased to get that because, well, having kings as allies, even ones that you can't call on, is handy. It means that they can't really do much against you. Okay, so let's go back to plotting. We could fabricate the claim. It'd give us an extra 1 intrigue, which would be handy, but it's kind of pointless. We could also see our wife, Princess Hildegard of West Francia, dead. It doesn't really have a point to us at the moment. We could kill Count Bruno of Braunschweig. Now, Count Bruno is our brother. He doesn't like us. He's ambitious. He is also the heir. So he's got a reason to want to kill us, because he would inherit. We'll consider that one. And we also have a plot to revoke the Prince Bishopric of Hamburg. Hamburg is this little province here. It's currently held by Prince Bishop Rimbert. Let's have a look at him. If you click the portrait, you'll always go to their particular thing. He's 37 years old. He's not too bad. He's got nothing against us. We get massive benefits against him because we're both kind, and he's a vassal. I think he's also diligent. No, he's patient, which is pretty handy. Also, he's a wonderful priest because he is lustful, so that's a bit of an issue for him. Now, the reason why I believe that we've got the ability to revoke his title is because he's the Prince Bishop of Bremen as well, so this province here. He owns both of these provinces. You can see that when we click on the province, it shows his picture here. I'm not particularly keen on revoking Hamburg from him because that means that he will not like us because we're taking away his stuff. And if he doesn't like us, he won't give us any money. If we check our vassal listing, just go to the opinions, we can see here he is, Rimbert. He likes the Pope more than us, so he is paying taxes to Pope Nicholas. That's not good. It would get even worse. Excuse me. It would get even worse if we revoked his title. It would be a lot harder to get him to like us more. Oh, and as you can see here on our location, we're not in Lundberg anymore. We're currently in Baden training troops because we're the Marshal of East Francia. We've done something similar with our Marshal, Almeric von Bardewick. So let's unpause the game and keep going. I actually did a little research because the name Otto was specifically related to Brunswick. If you remember, the current duchy that we're occupying is Brunswick. We have the ability to form it if we had enough money. There's a high priority message just come in. King Ludwig the German, that's our king, has created the title Duchy of Baden. See, if we come down here, here's the Duchy of Baden. It's something that he owns. It's kind of a cool story, bro, I guess. Doesn't really affect us at this point in time. But yeah, so I did a little bit of research, just these events are going to conspire to keep me from telling you about the wonderful research that I've done. Alright, so we've got a death message here. Prince Bishop Gottfried of Munster has inherited the Prince Bishopric of Munster. Okay, so this guy here, with his rather epic beard, didn't have any titles. He's specifically been created by the game for this role. And he's inherited from the Prince Bishop Luitberg, who, as you can see from this little skull here, has died a natural death yesterday. He wasn't really a very good priest. Oh no, he was chaste, he's fine, you know, all good. But he didn't really have a beard, so, you know. But Prince Bishop Gottfried here, the new bloke, he doesn't particularly like us, which is a problem because, well, Munster is one of the bishoprics in our area. Let's see why he doesn't like us. So, well, you get a bonus for state diplomacy. That's fine, that's what we get. You know, it's from having a nice high diplomatic trait. He doesn't like us because we're a new ruler. We've only just come into this particular position in the last few years, so people are kind of unsure of us. We get a +5 because our current succession law is Gavelkind. We really need to change that at some point. We get a +2 because of technology. If we go up here to religious customs, you can see that the current tech level gives us +2 with temple vassals. We get +10 because we are just, and vassals like their liege to be just. We get another +10 because of the same thing with us being kind. We get a -15 because Gottfried here is envious. So, you know, that's not great. And we get a +1 because we have a little bit of piety. Only a little bit. That increases over time, so again, relationships get better. So we get rid of that message. And the other high priority is just telling us that the former Prince Bishop of Munster died. And naturally. So let's start that timer up again. And see if I can talk about this research before it gives me another event. So Otto of Brunswick kind of reminded me of something. I you know, little thing in the back of my head said, that name's kind of familiar. So I've just done a bit of a Google search and, well, nothing for this particular year, but Otto I was the Duke of Brunswick in, well, he became the Duke of Brunswick-Lundberg in 1235, apparently. So we've got a way to go for that. Oh. Okay, this is a pop-up message, so it's a little bit higher priority than a higher priority message. At age 60, Oda Bilung died a natural death. She was our mother, and it's really not all that important, so we're just going to click through that, unpause the game, keep going. And just as a quick note, if you can see here, we've got a nice progress on our castle walls being built. That'll be great. They'll be finished next year, the start of February. Right, so there was another Otto, who I'm going to style this playthrough after a little bit. Otto IV was the Emperor of the Holy Roman Empire in, let's see, one of two rival kings of Germany from 1198. We're going to try and not have rivals and that sort of stuff unless we can, you know, beat them up. But we'll just go with that. Something I've just noticed, this war down here, which we covered in the last episode, and that I said was going to be an absolute stomping match against Emir Saudin of the Saudinid Emirate here. We can see here from the war score, there's only been 2 battles, but in each battle, the Karling forces have just completely demolished the guys' armies. Those are massive war score things. War score ranges from -100 to 100, positive being better for you. And if you can see here, we've got our 2 battles. The Battle of Trani, which gave us 27% war score. It's only 900 of our guys against 300 of his, but we wiped the floor with him. You can see losses in red and the end amounts in green. And we also had the Battle of Conversano, more evenly matched, 1465 on our side versus 1289 guys on his side, but we killed, I say we, it was probably the Italian guy, killed so many more, and that was probably most of his strength. In fact, I believe the Battle of Conversano would have happened first, because it resulted in 312 remaining, and then the Battle of Trani would have been a mopping up exercise. So peace should happen fairly shortly there, because the guy has no army left. And actually, if we just click down here, yeah, you can see he's only got 13 guys hostile to us at this stage. And, well, there's an Italian and Bavarian army sitting right outside his door of 1,000 each. So not looking too great for him. Let's go back to the pretty terrain mode. And we're basically just waiting on this thing to be built and seeing what happens. One thing. We did cover this earlier, but I do want to kill Count Bruno of Braunschweig. So we're going to activate that plot. So, we can see here the target. We can see any backers we've got. We have no backers. It's a little bit like a Kickstarter, to be quite honest. You know, you get backers and they all sort of combine and add elements into your plot, and the more backers you have, the better you do. So there you go. The Middle Ages were kickstarting assassination plots before Kickstarter even existed. And over here we've got the plot power. We contribute 23.4% to that just by being us with our espionage stat, or intrigue stat as it is. But that won't do anything. What we really want to do is have that over 100%. If you click this one, you can scroll through a list of people who it thinks would be conducive to your plot. What we do is we click the plot power button here to rank them according to how much they will contribute to the plot power. Unfortunately, this little red icon means that they are not willing to join the plot. And none of these fellows are willing to join the plot, so it's kind of not really all that useful for us. If you mouse over it, you can see why they're not willing to join the plot, or if they are willing, why they are willing. So we're just going to cancel this plot because it has no chance of going anywhere. However, before we do that, you can check this box to auto-invite everybody who would join your plot without having to sort through them and all that sort of stuff. Sometimes that can be useful, but too many cooks do indeed spoil the broth, and there are chances that your backers get drunk and tell people about your plot, and you lose reputation and all sorts of terrible things. So we're going to cancel that plot. Just quickly have a look down here. We've basically got nothing available here except for the spend money and piety to attract people. I wouldn't mind going on a pilgrimage at some point, but we need more money before we do that. So let's continue. But yes, the ultimate aim is to, well, I'd say ultimate, but we're going to try and go a little bit beyond that, just for the fun of it, to form the Holy Roman Empire. That would be quite an accomplishment. And we've got another high priority alert. It's a death alert. Countess Adela of Göttingen has inherited the county of Göttingen from Count Cobbo of Göttingen. So we'll have a look. Where's Göttingen? It's this place here. Alright. So Count Cobbo has died after a period of illness, and his daughter, Countess Adela, well, now Countess Adela, has joined. Now, she likes us. She likes us a lot, and most of that, see, 84 is huge. Most of that is because she possesses the content trait. As you can see from the little pop-up here, content gives them a 50% opinion modifier against me. It's wonderful. It's the opposite of ambitious. So we'll just get rid of that message. There's one telling us that Count Cobbo died. You can customize how the messages appear, whether you want them to be high priority and... ooh. Duke Fankolf of Thuringia has founded the elective succession in East Francia faction. So if we go to the Factions tab, we can see him down here. He doesn't like us at all. I'm not quite sure why. Well, he's ambitious, so that's a big start. Oh, hang on, no. That's his opinion against the king, or his liege. So he doesn't like the king at all, because he wants control of a particular province, and he's ambitious. Anyway, let's go over this. So we see elective succession in East Francia is the faction. What they want to do is present a demand to King Ludwig II that instead of having gavel-kind succession in East Francia, which, let me click through the laws here. Yes, you see, East Francia has agnatic gavel-kind, which means that's slightly different from our laws. We have agnatic cognatic gavel-kind in the Duchy of Saxony, which isn't really the Duchy of Saxony. But yes, so he has agnatic gavel-kind, which means, again, highest title goes to your eldest son. All other titles are split between potential sons. And agnatic means only sons count for that. So if our liege, who we will find by clicking on our portrait and then clicking on our liege, if our liege dies, King Karlman of Bavaria gains the Kingdom of East Francia title. But the Duchy of Baden and the County of Baden may go to Prince Ludwig the Younger here, or Prince Karl the Fat. If all three of those were dead, and he had a daughter, the titles would not go to his daughter because of the agnatic component to the succession laws. They would go to, well, that's a good question. That's a very good question that I'm not actually sure about. It's a little hard to trace back more than 3 people into the secession, but, you know, you can always do it by killing people. Okay, we've got about a month and a little bit before our castle walls are completed on the 9th of February. We haven't made any more money. Well, we've made a little bit more money, but it's not going great. So what we're going to do is have a look at our vassals. We're going to look for our mayor. The mayor of Bardewick is currently paying us 5.1 gold and has an opinion of 38 with us. That's not too bad. But if we come here, we could always push him up to large city levies or large city taxation. If we push him up to large, that'll give him a -10. So we've just gotten a message telling us that those castle walls have been built, so that's great. That'll increase our income a little bit. If we push the city taxation up to 10, that will, up to large, which will give us 35% tax from him instead of 25%, that will reduce his opinion of us by 10. He was at 38, he'll reduce it down to 28. If you go below 0, I believe he will just start withholding taxes from us, which can be a real pain. We could also tax our feudal vassals, but that's not a good idea because feudal vassals are the ones that can rebel against you. Now, here's the thing. Because cities provide not much in the way of troops, we could potentially reduce the levies down, get a +10 opinion from them, while increasing the tax to give us a -10, which would cancel itself out. We're going to try that, so we're going to increase that. We do need support for that from, just like how the king has tried to implement limited crown authority. He only has 23 of 58. I believe he needs half of the total, so a couple more people get on board with him and he might get that. But if we go back to the Duchy of Saxony's laws, we just need a few more. Some of them may join by themselves, so we'll just let that ride, see how we go. I would really like to start plotting against various people, but we don't exactly have a lot of power. Now, the army screen, we've gone over this very lightly before. You can see here how much each of your vassals would contribute to you. The County of Oldenburg, with our spy master, who I believe is also related to us. Hang on. So this pop-up alert here tells us that the Lords of Saxony have approved of the institution of the large city tax law. That's great. So before we do anything else, we'll just come here and see what we need to do. Okay, in 5 years, we can change the city levies down, so we're just going to have to deal with that slight opinion malice. And if we just find the mayor, Yeah, see, he's now got that applied to him, but instead of getting 5.1 tax from him, we're getting 7.2. So we'll see how much that affects our particular income when we get to it. Now, we were looking at the military screen. So yeah, here you can see how much or how many troops each of your vassals is willing to contribute to you. You can raise the specific ones from that specific vassal. Some of them don't contribute anything. Yes, you see here, the bishops don't produce much in a way of troops because they like the Pope more than me. So it's kind of important to really get your bishops to like you a bit more than the Pope. And you also saw up here our good brother, Bruno, who doesn't have very nice hair. Yeah, he's kind of got one of those bowl cuts. Not that I can really comment on hair. Jeez. I hope that we're not going to be bald all the way through the play because, well, I'd like some hair. You know, your head gets cold. Anyway, he contributes no troops to us, purely because he doesn't like us at all. We can also hire mercenaries who are expensive and cost a lot of money over months. The cheapest ones, down here, the Bulgarian band. It's only 1,500 guys. They have light infantry, heavies, and light cavalry, and a few archers, and they still cost 6.3 gold per month. I make 2.2. There's no way that I could sustain them, even if I could afford this, which is the initial buy cost. There are no holy orders available yet, so we'll just leave that out. But what we do have, we have personally 468 troops from our personal levies. We have a total of 718 from our vassals. If we raise personal levies, it will cost us a slight amount of gold per month. Vassal levies should not, unless they've changed that recently, but your vassals will, as you can see here, for every 61 days that a vassal levy is raised during an offensive non-crusade war, they will take a 1 point penalty against you. So offensive wars are a little bit harder to wage than defensive wars, but if we look at this, we can see that we've got about 1,100 troops, all up. They will be raised all across our realm, so we'll have to gather them together before we have that. If we wanted to take on Chief Barnum of Laxine here, who doesn't like us, and there's some good reasons why he doesn't like us, we'll look at that in a moment, he can raise 505 of his own troops. He maybe could get 120 more out of this city, and maybe 130 out of his temple. So, you know, he can get me about, well, not get me, because he would be against me if we declared a war on him, 750 troops. We could probably take that in a fight. Then he's got his garrisons here, which have about 400, 200, and 200. I'm considering it. The only issue is that because he is a pagan, he's Slavic, I believe, the supply limit, which is how many troops you can have in a province without taking attrition damage, is very low, 780. If you compare that to the supply limit in Lundberg, which is 20.8 thousand. So, that's kind of an issue. You can mitigate that with technology at some point, but, well. And just as I unpause, I notice that we've got 3 low priority messages. These are all just people... Well, the first one was somebody approving of my law. This one tells us that Regenburn Emedinja, so mispronouncing, seeks to kill Count Walbert of Cell. So, we have a look at the plotter. He's the heir to the county of Cell, which is why he's attempting to kill the guy. He doesn't particularly like us. He's proud, he's greedy, he's arbitrary. He won't like us if he gets into power, which is the entire reason of his plot. He's trying to kill his lord so that he can inherit. Specifically his father. Yes. I mean, his father isn't much to look at here, but his father is also ambitious. But, if we check this out, that doesn't matter too much to us. See, he likes us. He's got a 40-point penalty there. He's not a bad guy. So what we're going to do is go back to the plotter, go to diplomacy, and because we're technically this guy's liege, or with a liege of his liege, we can demand that he end the plot, and he will dare not refuse. So we'll just send that message off, and we'll get a response back in 10 days. And we get rid of that, and that's another one of our guys who approved the law change that went through. So let's just have a little look at that. We could... Whoop. There's the guy telling us that his scheming was obviously misdirected, and he hopes that we will forgive him, and he will not... Well, he won't not do that again. He will probably just replot it in a few months, because the reasons for his plot starting are still there. But he will end that particular plot right there. So we could go for this particular province here, which is part of the Duchy of Brandenburg, which we don't own anything in. We're in the de jure duchy map mode here, just to make reference to that. We could attack Dolomici here, which is part of the Duchy of Saxony, which is great because, well, we're the Duke of Saxony. Now, he's got a little bit more. See, this province has 4 total holdings, whereas this one had 3, and the potential to build another one here. This one has 4, and the potential to build another one. Of note, it has 2 castles. So from his first castle, he can raise 420 guys. From the city, about 90, if the mayor likes him enough. From the temple, 140, if the priest likes him enough. And from the other barony, or the other castle, 230, if the baron of that castle likes him enough. You can see here that the barony is not held by this guy. He's the heir to that place, but it is actually held by this fellow, Hetman Jaromir of Kunfurt. He does actually like his liege a lot, so he will probably contribute, well, almost as much as he can. So let's just find that again. There it was. So if we attack them, we're looking at 400, 200, make 600, another 150, 750, about 850 guys against our 1100. It would be a very close battle, I believe, and he's not half bad with marshals, so we want to be a little bit cautious about that sort of thing. Additionally, his supply limit, here we are with 584, is vastly lower. We could leave a small amount of troops there to besiege him, but of note, he is an independent chief, so we could possibly take him on if we were to declare war, and we've got 2 reasons for war here. The first one is the de jure claim. Now this is important. The reason for war dictates what happens at the end of a war. If we win a war, which we press using the de jure claim, what happens is Chief Bretislav here becomes a vassal. That's somewhat of an issue because he is of the Slavic religion, so he just doesn't like us because we're an infidel to him. If we make a white peace, which is, well, it's a white peace. It's when both sides agree to neutrally end the conflict. We lose prestige because we declared a war. We should be able to press our claim. If we lose the war, excuse me, a bit of a frog in my throat. If we lose the war, we lose even more prestige and need to pay a fine to the chief. That's an issue because we don't have enough money to pay that fine, so our balance would become negative. The other casus belli, or reason for war that we have here, is that we could declare a holy war for Saxony, which is the entire duchy, which means that if Chief Bretislav here owned more than one province in the duchy, we would get all of the provinces in that duchy that he owns. Now, if we would win a holy war, the moral authority of Catholicism would go up by 3% for 20 years. The moral authority of the pagan Slavic religion would fall by 3% for the same amount of time. The chief would lose piety and prestige, and, more importantly, any Catholic lords in the duchy that are beholden to Chief Bretislav, we would vassalize, and any titles held by non-Catholics we would just take. They would just be ours. So we would get Chief Bretislav's title. We would probably get, well, let me just get to the map view. We would get the title of the city of, I'm not even going to bother pronouncing that, this city, the Temple of Magdeburg, and the Barony of Kunfurt. We would get all of those. It would put us well above our demands limit, but then we could sell some of those off and give some of those away and all that sort of stuff. So let's just go back to the diplomatic thing. But if we make a white peace, we lose piety and we lose prestige. If we lose the war, we still have to pay a fine to the chief. We lose more piety and more prestige, and the reverse moral authority thing happens. Catholicism loses moral authority, and the Slavic religion gains moral authority. Additionally, if we click on that, you can see here that nearby Slavic rulers might ask to join Chief Bretislav in defense of their faith. And if we just click that, there are a lot of nearby Slavic rulers. So that's not something we would like to do. We'll probably press the de jure claim in a while, but at the moment it's not too important to us. I'm also considering pressing our claim against the Duke here. Same sort of thing, but yes, okay, so what happens here, because Weimar is held by a duke, he can't be a vassal to us because we're a duke. Dukes can't be vassals of dukes. What would happen here is we would just gain the county. Like, we just take it off him. The other the penalties for making a neutral peace and all that sort of stuff remain. Anyway, let's try and get through a little bit more time. I'm getting close to the end time of this video, but we'll press on for a little bit longer. All of our guys are being nice. And yep, all of these buttons have become colored again, which means that we can reassign them if so desired. We don't really need to reassign anybody at the moment. Chancellor hasn't done much in the way of getting the king to like us, so we'll just keep him there for the moment. We're getting a little bit more gold. We're getting 2.44 instead of 2.22, so that's something that's growing on us. Okay, we've got some more low priority messages here. Yep. And one that just appeared. Ludwig Carling has transferred the vassal contract of Berengar Conradida to Fankolf von Varangian. Now, down here, that means that Duke Fankolf here has just gotten the Count of Nassau to be his immediate vassal. That was something that he wanted, I believe, because, yes, as you can see, the Duchy of Thuringia is both of these provinces here. So, naturally, as the Duke of Thuringia, he wanted control over, well, Thuringia. Prince Bishop Hesso of Chur has joined the elective succession in East Francia faction. So if we go back to factions, we can see here, we've got a backer, basically, here in this guy's faction. However, I don't see that faction staying up for long. The Duke of Thuringia was the leader of the faction, and originally he had a negative opinion of the liege, our liege. Now that's positive, because he got that county of Nassau. And similarly, I don't believe that this Prince Bishop guy here has too much to complain about, so he'll probably go away. But if we just click back there, this here is the important part, the strength of the faction. The faction can currently pull 451 men, which is 59.9% of the amount that the king can pull. If that gets close to or above 100%, that's when they'll probably push their particular claim. I'm not particularly keen on elective succession because I'm not sure exactly how it works. And we've got a message that war that we were in has been won. If we just go down here to Italy, we can see that Italy now owns this part of the land where it didn't previously. That's not connected to mainland Italy, so if I were them, I'd try and do something with this guy. But well, we'll see what the AI does. And let's continue. Oh, another war has just appeared. This is a defensive war for us. Sultan Muhammad of the Umayyad Sultanate has declared war on King Louis the Stammerer, the King of Aquitaine. He didn't just declare it, we've just been called in as an ally because of our king, let's see, where is he? King Ludwig the German. And yep, as you can see, we've currently got a minus 15% war score. That's why it's red. We occupy a little bit of their lands. It'll be down here, I believe. Yes, as you can see, we occupy this land. They occupy this land. It's a bit of a more even matchup than the war for Bari over here, because the Umayyad Sultanate owns, well, most of the Iberian Peninsula, and here's their army, almost 6,000 guys. We don't have to worry about that, it doesn't concern us, we're probably one of the furthest away places from there which is still in the war. So, continuing on with the unpausing, I'm debating on whether we want to form the Duchy of Brunswick. Ooh. Okay, if you saw that little map change there, what that is the Kingdom of Lothringia, here it is experiencing a bit of a revolt. This is a change from previous... In previous iterations, every individual member of a revolt would have his own mini-country sort of thing. That's changed so that they're now all part of a country literally called the Lothringian Revolt. Not exactly sure what they're claiming. Right. They want independence. So, if they press independence, they might all become their own separate countries, or they might all become their own country, like all of these particular places. That's not so good for the King of Lothringia, but while we're next door, we're not involved. Unpause the game and keep going. So this up here is telling us that we still have these de jure ducal claims on these three provinces. I will be quite keen to have a go at Dolomici at some point. It seems like something that, we should really do, considering who we are, being the Duke of Saxony. Oh, okay. This is a council event. Because we've sent our steward, Gottschalk, yeah, that's a pretty cool name. Because we've sent him to collect taxes in Lundberg, occasionally he will have a positive event. Occasionally he'll also have a negative event, but this one is positive. You can kind of tell that because of the green outline. But yes, my liege, I have collected a tithe in Lundberg. The money should reach you together with this letter. And yes, now we have 14.65 extra gold, which is exceptional. It's about half of what we had. I believe the money for those is based on your monthly income. Not sure about it, but however that happens. Just going to check the Crown Authority laws in the kingdom. Yeah, so taking Dolomici might be a very big issue simply because, again, he's Slavic. He doesn't like us. You can tell from his opinion. -30 because we're an infidel to him. Ah, here's another council event. This is blue because it's kind of the expected result here. Our Chancellor, Prince Bishop Ekberg of Osnabrück. My liege, my mission to Baden has so far been a success. During my visit to the court of King Ludwig the German, I seem to have managed to make him understand what a benevolent and peaceful ruler you really are, and he sends his regards. So we mouse over the acceptance, and what this does is it improves the king's opinion of us by 30 points for 4 years. And the king's portrait is here so that you can click on him and go to his stuff and see what's going on. See, currently 15. I click, and it should go up to 45, and that hasn't updated. There we go. 45 because of improved relations. I am completely fine with that, so I'm just going to pause the game momentarily, and we're going to work out where we can put the Prince Bishop. So, we want to increase some vassal relations. Currently, our brother does not like us at all. It would take a lot to get him to like us, so what we're going to try and do is send the Chancellor to one of our vassals who likes the Pope more than us. You can see here the Prince Bishop of Osnabrück has begun to like us more than the Pope, so he is giving us 6.6 of his gold. That's wonderful. Oh, it appears that I hadn't actually paused the game there. This is a declaration that the Magyar nomads have taken an event and they've settled down in the Carpathian Basin. That's basically how Hungary forms. Hungary will basically form in almost any game that you play. It's not scripted, but it's just heavily biased towards it happening. But again, that's all the way down here. Like, it's not too far away from us, but it's kind of, well, there's at least one kingdom in a way, so we're not terribly concerned about them. Anyway, what we were doing, which was looking at our vassals. So, we've already got somebody working on the Prince Bishop of Bremen. Our chaplain is working on him, so putting in twice the effort on him might help us get his stuff a little bit better, or a little bit faster, but we're not overly concerned. The Prince Bishop of Munster doesn't make a lot of money to begin with, and the difference in the two opinions here is fairly substantial, so we'll just leave him alone for now. The Bishop of Gifhorn might be a good idea. He makes even less money than the last guy, but the opinions are close. Even so, I'd prefer stability first, so we're going to send a guy to meet with our brother and tell him how awesome we are. So, first we check where our brother is. He is reigning in Braunschweig, this place here. So we come here, click on that to disable what he was doing, click it again to be able to place it, and there we go. And now he is working on making our brother like us more. Had some more low priority missions come in. Yep, as expected, the elective succession faction is gone. And yeah. So what happened there was the leader, the Duke of Thuringia, decided to stop being a member of that faction. And as a result, the only remaining guy in the faction became the leader, decided he didn't want it, and nicked off. So, I think we'll actually call that an episode for now. It's gotten a little bit long. My apologies if you have a bit of trouble keeping up with how long it is, but, well, I find this really interesting, and I hope you do too. So, on that note, I've been Sub, you've been yourselves. Later.